The walk to the room was filled with awkward silence. What were we supposed to do here? Damien and I were both human, and while yes, we both knew he'd have to help in the war, he wasn't a demon anymore. I grimaced, feeling the nervousness of the situation take hold of me. This was going to be a rocky adventure. Who knew what would happen? What to expect? I could only guess time would tell. I gripped Damien's hand harder, letting my nerves sink in. Naturally, Damien smiled and kissed my forehead.
It's okay. Everything will be all right, I promise.
I nodded, but some part of me was still fearful despite his reassurance. We were in the demon world. Humans in the demon world. I was worried what would become of Damien now that he was in his home plane as something he wasn't born as. I looked up at Damien, seeing him focused on following our guide to get us to our room. I was curious. What was going through his mind? I was sure he was worried when I was taken. Now that he had me back, what was he thinking of now? For a moment, I briefly wished I had his mind-reading ability. I wanted to know what went through Damien's mind at everything we did, at every step we made, at every event that came along the road. Feeling my stare, Damien turned his head and looked down at me, furrowing his eyebrows in confusion.
What is it?
I lightly bit my lip. Did I want to tell him what was on my mind? I mean, obviously, right?
What do you think about this whole thing?
I had to verbalize my curiosity. Damien took in the question before turning to the hall once again, frowning a bit.
I think it's a really bad situation. You're trapped here, and I'm human, so I can't do much to help in the war.
As Damien squeezed my hand, however, I felt my heart flutter a bit.
Still, I want to help and bring you back. I'll do everything I can to send us back home.
Damien.
I naturally hugged his arm to me, causing him to gasp a bit and look over, a faint blush running across his cheeks. He was so adorable, and I absolutely loved him. Whatever drew him to me made my heart feel absolutely lucky to have him. As we reached our room, I took in that the ambassador room I had claimed the night before was officially sanctioned for me and Damien. It's Damien and I, Sir Oxford, comma. The others were given rooms in another part of the castle.
Well, technically it's not.
Oh. You're right. Oh, God. Alright, anyway. The others were given rooms in another part of the castle, so we had some space to ourselves. Stepping in, I took a seat on the bed, feeling mild exhaustion sweep over me. However, Damien looked around the room in slight awe. I tilted my head, wondering why. Damien stepped around the room, looking around and observing every piece of decor. As he got to the mantel, he looked almost stunned to see the design and architecture of it. It was almost like watching a little kid walk into a museum.
Damien?
My voice caught his attention, causing Damien to jump up and look at me in surprise. As he calmed down, he rubbed the back of his neck in nervousness.
Sorry, I've never really been in a room like this before, so this is a bit of a surprise
Oh,
to
right,
me.
because he was the bastard.
My boy.
Really? What kind of room did you have? I bet he didn't have any.
Oh, God, he lived in the closet under the stairs. I stared at Damien in shock. He really never saw a room like this? We were in the demon world, though. How could this not have been familiar to him? I was positive that he would have at least seen a room like this in his time here. But Damien shook his head in reply.
I never had a room growing up.
No! No!
Abuse.
No! and my heart suddenly crumbled in my chest. I knew that Damien was the mistreated bastard son of the Demon Lord, but to not have a room, that was cruel. Laundry, it's not almost cruel, it is cruel.
And also abuse.
Oh my god, Laundry. I couldn't help imagining Damien sleeping on the cold marble floor of the Grand Hall, or even in a cell. My soul began to weep for him. But I knew that it was just better to ask him about his experiences than assume the worst cases, the absolute worst cases.
How did you sleep then?
Well, demons don't sleep at all, actually.
Oh!
Yeah, we already went over this in the drama CD.
Oh. I forgot. That made absolutely no sense.
Wait, what? They don't? Why do they have beds and stuff then?
Laundry.
Because they're incubi.
Laundry, you can't just ask people why they have beds. Damien blushed a bit with a grimace across his lips.
Well, other than having, sex, demons rest. Like lying down and reading or something like that, but demons never close their eyes for long. It opens them up to being taken advantage of.
Then how the heck do demons function?
With energy and food. As long as a demon has both, or at least one or the other, they can keep functioning without needing to sleep. Lying down simply lets them stop using their energy.
Then what about in the human world? Were you and the others pretending to sleep?
Damien shook his head, driving another confused wedge into my brain. What? Demons could sleep then, but only if they wanted to. But they absolutely didn't need to, so they didn't have to? Damien laughed a bit at my confusion.
When we went to the human world, we got to experience sleep for the first time. It was so good for us, and we felt relaxed, so we kept at it, like regular humans. Besides, the risks we had here are not the same as the risks in the human world.
There was still a lot I had to learn about demons, apparently. Not that I needed to know, but my curiosity about them grew the more I learned about them. Damien smiled and walked over to sit beside me and kiss my cheek.
I think we'll be safe to sleep, though. This is Lilith Castle, after all.
I keep wondering.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering, like, why hasn't Laundry been talking to the boys about this before? Like, wouldn't you be curious? But then I thought, like, well, maybe Damien doesn't really want to talk about it, you know, after all the shit he went through.
Yeah.
Lilith Castle? This place has a name?
With a nod, Damien pointed at the mantle, tracing through the air at the markings in the stonework.
If I remember right, James told me about the first succubus, Lilith, and how she gave birth to incubi and succubi from this very castle. Diana is her descendant, so she now owns this place.
Wow.
So Diana really was a princess. I was a bit surprised to confirm that fact, but in the end it made sense. She had the attitude of one, that was for sure.
Well, now she's not a princess, she's a queen, 'cause everyone's dead.
Woo! Damien wrapped an arm around my shoulders and smiled.
At least we'll get some good sleep tonight.
Yeah.
I could feel that we would be okay in our room. The castles were well fortified, from what I knew, and Diana seemed to be on top of making sure everything ran smoothly, as did the other rebel leaders. Everything was like a well-oiled machine. I leaned my head on Damien's shoulder, letting out a small sigh.
I'm sorry.
Huh? For what?
I looked up at Damien, remembering that I had gone an entire day. I had been gone an entire day. I must have worried him sick and made everyone else go crazy at my absence, not only from the wedding, but from the entire human world.
For going missing, I was gone for a whole day.
Damien stared at me for a moment before smiling and kissing my forehead.
Were you really here a whole day?
I furrowed my eyebrows, staring at him and trying to figure out if he was joking or being serious. Seeing my expression, Damien let out a small laugh and hugged me to his side.
To me, you were only gone for about 4 or 5 hours.
Okay.
Wait, what?
That could not be! There was no way. Why is it that when Laundry enters the demon world, she suddenly starts speaking like... that, like, when has she ever said, that could not be? Like, it's always been like, that couldn't be possible, you know, like a normal person, but now that she's in her steampunk clothes, she's got a steampunk talk. There was no way that I was gone for that short period of time. I have been sleeping in this room, going through an entire day of being in this world and trying to get home to him twice. That definitely did not add up. With a small smirk, Damien released me and placed his hand on my head.
Time runs differently between the human and demon world. A whole day here is about 5 hours in the human world. You weren't gone very long.
My jaw dropped. Even time was different here. This world was full of surprises. I felt myself hold my cheeks and try to take it in. I hope I mean my face.
How did everyone react?
Damien frowned a bit and gently wrapped his arms around me, hugging me fully to him and resting his head on mine.
We were all worried sick about you.
Damien.
I could only imagine what Damien went through in those 5 hours. When I didn't arrive, what was the first thing he did? What was the first thing anyone did? I felt guilty, but I also knew that what had happened was out of my hands. Damien let out a small sigh and kissed my head.
When you didn't show up, we sent the girls to find you while my brothers managed to wipe everyone's memories and delay the wedding for a couple of days. We didn't know how fast it would take us to find you.
Damien's grip tightened around me as he pulled me even closer to him.
I had to rely on my brothers to find you. There was no clue to where you were taken, so I had to sit and wait until they managed to locate you, here. Then we came.
Then you came.
I think we should lie.
like, aren't they kind of the same thing?
They are, but I think we should lie in his arms, because then at least we get to lie down.
Logic.
I'm tired, fam. I was stunned by the love I was given by Damien. Despite being human, he traveled through the gates of worlds to try to find me. I was lucky to have such a loving man as him. My only regret was being in this world instead of at the altar with him.
Yeah, poor boy kinda got jilted.
I simply pressed my forehead to his shoulder, closing my eyes and taking in his scent and love.
I love you, Damien.
I love you too. More than you'll ever know.
I could hear his pounding heartbeat affirm his feelings for me, making me smile against him. I was beyond #blessed. Eventually, Damien pulled away and stared down at me with a tired smile.
We should get some rest. There's a long week ahead of us.
I nodded in agreement, knowing exactly what he meant. We slowly crawled into bed and snuggled into each other's arms, embracing the darkness of slumber once more. As sleep welcomed me, a thought ran through my mind. What would happen? Obviously the boys would help fight in the war, but what about Damien? He was indeed human, and had no abilities to use as such. Then again, maybe he could still use magic as a human. Carrie was able to do so, and she was human, but she was a witch, trained in magic. That's Sam's wife, right?
Yeah.
Damien's abilities came from with his demon side, which he no longer had. How would he fight, then? The question floated around in my mind, in my dream, as I drifted to a calm and peaceful sleep. Did it freeze?
Why can't I sleep?
we supposed to click?
No, Damien!
Oh god! Oh boy! Oh, there's pants still. Oh god. You can't see well through the text box. I just saw pale legs. Anyway.
Something's wrong.
Something is wrong,
is
Damien.
indeed wrong, boy.
Oh,
You're in the
Jesus.
demon world, and you won't even acknowledge your demon side.
Huh? What are you doing here?
Observing a disappointment for amusement.
Bitch, you don't even have that
Continuing
anymore.
To fail at living so much that it's become a wonderful form of entertainment. The demon who lost his powers. Doesn't that sound absolutely ridiculous? Let's replace it with the demon whose wife almost became the demon lord's next bed bitch.
Shut the fuck up.
What do you want?
Oh, come now, don't be so hostile. You'll wake the human up.
She and I are both human.
Jesus.
I can't.
I just got to the bed
believe
bitch
it.
line.
Is that what you still think, boy? Do you truly believe yourself to be human?
Yes. No matter how many times you taught me, I know the truth. I am human.
Well, I hate to break the delusion you may be under, but you should know that becoming a human is impossible for a demon.
That's not true. I've been a human for over 2 years now. I don't believe you.
Who is
Then you
taunting
are more
him?
of a disappointment than I imagined. God, why don't you just give up? Then again, if you gave up, then I would lose my entertainment.
Leave.
This is so stupid.
Fine, I
What
shall.
nonsense.
But heed my words, boy. Tomorrow will be a very rough awakening for you. I can feel it.